I am Nick Shell, a certified Enneagram coach. I want to share with you something I absolutely learned by reading this book, which you know that I love this book, The Honest Enneagram by Sarah Jane Case. I make it easy for you to purchase this book by clicking the link right there. It takes you to Amazon. Also, if you'd like to become certified in Enneagram like I am, there's a link for that. And if you're new to this and don't quite know for sure which Enneagram you are, you can take a test for free. It takes about 10 minutes. There's a link for it there. Now, ultimately, I will acknowledge that a test can't always tell you 100% what you are, but at least it can get you in the right direction and help you continue to figure that out as part of your journey. Here's what I want to talk about in this video. I have been very clear what my type is. It took me a while to get there, but I am an Enneagram 6, but specifically 6 wing 7. I have a dominant 7 wing as opposed to a 5. And specifically my subtype is the sexual subtype, or 1-to-1. I'm most focused on building close relationships with individual people as opposed to trying to appease everyone in the room like my wife would with a social subtype. There's also a self-preservation subtype which does neither, and they're more focused on their own individual needs. So that's how it is for all nine Enneagram. But I happen to be 6 wing 7 counterphobic sexual subtype. There you go. It's a very long, complicated Enneagram. That's why it probably took me so long to figure it out. What I want to address in this particular video, and I made one recently talking about how I have trust issues with authority figures, whether it's police, military, government, anyone in authority, I'm immediately going to question, because for me, I'm thinking, you're just another person. You're another human being that makes mistakes and isn't perfect like me. So you have authority? It seems a little bit arbitrary. So I, by default, as a counterphobic 6, question authority by default in general. Whereas my wife, being a social subtype, is all about reverence towards following the rules. And that's where we get into this topic. I pay attention to the rules because ultimately, I'm not trying to break the rules, but I'm trying to find the best way to manage those rules. Often following the rules is important, but I have learned in my experience that just as often, learning the rules so that you can get around them is just as relevant, and often it is important. I mean, for what I do in my job, for example, which is like a sales position, I am good at what I do, but I also don't always follow the rules. I learn them so I can find a way around them, or find out which ones don't really matter and they're just arbitrary. Which ones am I going to be held accountable to? So I feel in my own job, I wouldn't be as good as I am at it if I only went by the rules, if I wasn't open-minded to finding other ways to do things. I mean, and it's not just rules, it's also expectations. For me, it's how can I not get in trouble, but still explore other options and be open-minded to that. Now, that concept may be because I have a more dominant 7 wing, where I am more focused on feeling free and adventurous, whereas my wife, having a more dominant 5 wing, wants things to be more predictable and black and white and that sort of thing. But for me, I'm willing to even be perceived as the villain or the bad guy, which is something counterphobic 6s are known for, if it means in the end that I find a better way to do it. Because ultimately, if I find a better way to do it, not as only more efficient for me, but because, keep in mind, 6s are all about belonging and having a role in their society. Well, I can help other people if I can say, hey, you know, I know the rule's this, but look, here's this other way to do it, and it's not exactly breaking the rules, and it's actually more efficient. So I did it, it worked for me. See if you want to try that out. Now, from there, people find me more important in their life, and I belong more to their life because I help them with that trick. So there you go. Counterphobic 6. We're okay with, quote, breaking the rules or finding ways around the rules. We study and learn the rules and take them very seriously to know which ones to follow and which ones are arbitrary and which ones we can find a better way to do it. If you're not a counterphobic 6, then you're probably more likely to want to know what the rules are so that you can follow them all. But ultimately, here's what I would tell you in closing, is that what I have learned is that if by following, and I learned this earlier in life, if I make a point to follow the rules, I'm going to be let down. Because often in my life, I followed all the rules. I did everything I was supposed to do. And in the end, there was no reward for it. There was no punishment for not following the rules. And that let me down. And I realized, so I can follow all the rules and still get in trouble anyway? I'll give you an example. Class setting. This happened so much growing up for me. I was a good kid. I followed the rules. I wasn't talking. The other kids were talking. The whole class gets in trouble. That happened so many times for me in school, and there's so many examples like that. So it started teaching me, well then why should I take the rules that seriously? I may be punished anyway, even though I do the right thing. Or there may be no reward for following the rules. Or there may be no punishment for breaking the rules. So when you're a counterphobic 6, that's how you think, that's how you operate. And life taught you that probably earlier on. Till you realized, are the rules useful? Yeah, they're a great guide to show you the right thing to do. Or to show you not what to do instead. Your thoughts, your comments, and your beliefs. Where do they belong? Right here in the comments section.